100 years, so like 21.3, we will all be buried with our families and friends. Strangers will live in our homes that we worked so hard to build, and someone else will own everything we have today. Most of our possessions will be given away or thrown out and destroyed, including the car that we spent our fortune on, and will probably be scrapped. Our descendants will hardly know who we are, nor will they remember us. How many of us know who our grandfather's father was? After we die, we will be remembered for a few more years, and then we're just a portrait from someone's wall. And a few decades later, our history, photos, and deeds disappear into histories of oblivion. We won't even be memories. If we pause one day to analyze these questions, perhaps we would understand how pointless it is for us to worry about 95% of the things that consume our minds daily. If we could only think about this shortly, our approaches, our thoughts would change, and we would do things differently. Perhaps we would feel more free to enjoy ourselves and our lives that we're living. Take these thoughts into the rest of your day this week, this year. And remember this saying, if it's not going to matter in 5 years, don't spend more than 5 minutes being upset by it.
Bruv, oh my gosh.
Start talking.
Good evening, good evening, family, good evening, gentlemen.
All right.
Testing, 1, 2, 1, 2. Good evening, family. Good evening,
Good
gentlemen.
evening, guys.
Good evening. So, welcome to the Secrets to Success, the mental health and healing men's show. Last week, we had a fantastic time, and we're going to build off the conversations we had last week. This week, we've got some great people that will contribute to the conversation, special guests we've got today. But I just want to kick it off like I did last week with prayer. We've got a short time, we're going to cover a lot of stuff. So, join me in prayer, people. Yeah? Thank you, Lord, for another day. Thank you, Lord, for your mercy and kindness. You said, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stand in the way of the sinner, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord, which he doth meditate upon day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, who will bring forth fruit in his due season. His leaf shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. You wish above all things that we prosper, be in good health, even as our soul prospers. So as you set us on the right path, Lord, help us to discover and talk about purpose. Place us around the right people, because we know our network is our net worth. Help us to be productive and prosper, be in good health, Lord, and help us to have the power and the pride to love, learn, live, and leave a legacy. We pray this all in the name of Jesus. Amen.
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 Amen. So, all right, before we introduce ourselves again, I'm going to pass over to Mark on my right, just to set the tone for this conversation and why we're doing what we're doing.
Okay. May his wisdom and guidance flow through every word spoken at every listener's heart. May this show serve as a catalyst for change, breaking down barriers and fostering understanding between men and women. I pray that as these conversations unfold, men will find solace in knowing that they are not alone in their struggles. May they feel empowered to open up, share their experiences, and seek the support they need to heal and grow. May the stories shared on this show inspire men to prioritize their own well-being, recognizing that self-care is not a sign of weakness, but a necessary step towards becoming the best version of themselves. May they find the strength to confront their inner demons, break free from social expectations, and embrace their true selves. I pray that these conversations will also ignite a spark from within families, communities, and the nation as a whole. May they serve as a reminder that the true change starts from within, and that by addressing the needs of men, we can create a ripple effect that positively impacts everyone around us. May women, as they listen and take notes, gain a deeper understanding of the unique challenges men face. May they learn how to provide the support, love, and understanding that men need without judgment or expectations. May they become allies in this journey towards healing and growth, standing side by side with their men in their lives. And as these initial conversations pave the way for something greater, I pray that doors will open, opportunities will arise, and resources will be made available to further support men's mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. May this show be just the beginning of a movement that brings about lasting change and a renewed sense of purpose for men everywhere. In all this, I give thanks to the Most High, our Heavenly Father, for his presence and guidance. May his love and grace surround each participant and each listener, creating a safe space for vulnerability, growth, and transformation. May this show be a testament to his power to heal, restore, and may it bring glory to his name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Marky Mark. That was good. That sets the tone and the thread for why we're here. You know, it's going to make sense in
100%.
the end. It might not make sense now if you're just tuning in, but if you listen to all the shows, from start to finish, it's going to make sense. So, let's recap, Anthony, from last week, and then how we segue into introducing ourselves after that.
Or should we introduce first or no? We got Mark here, so I think maybe introduce first and then we go into it. But before we introduce, one of us is celebrating a birthday today. Not today, sorry, in a few days' time.
Yes.
Hence, there's a bottle of champagne there. So I want us to all raise a glass to Marlo.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very
in
much.
advance.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
More life, more health, more wealth, and everything.
Thank you
Yeah?
and it's funny, I normally from 2005 till now, I've been celebrating my birthday in a splendiferous way. Yeah, that means big venue, big DJs, people dress up looking splendiferous and magnanimous. But this year, it's been different. Yeah, I'm going Ghana, the motherland tomorrow. And so I thought, I'm going to sit down with the man, them wise counsel, and get some direction and instruction and correction.
You set up postcodes to check out in Ghana, yeah?
No. We retire from all that.
Yeah? What's made the difference, King?
You know what? It's the loss that I've suffered, and when you lose in life, you start to see things differently, you know what I mean? Start prioritize things. You can't spend my life dancing my way through, you get it? You know what I mean?
So if we're talking about purpose,
yes, sir,
then you're gonna have to look at why you were holding the dances and having everything so splendiferous as you were talking
exactly
about.
That's what I'm gonna get into.
You get me?
Because there was the younger me that the reason why I did that is because of what happened with the younger me. And I'll get back into that later on still.
Nice
so
one.
you want to kick off and introduce
So we
yourself?
I think special guests have to go first, isn't it?
Go ahead.
Of course.
Mark.
Yeah, official title, Dr. Mark Prince OBE.
Oh yeah, that's
Regular.
This girl doctorate, didn't you?
The brothers just know me as Prince
Yes, sir.
or Mark. And would you want some more background?
Yeah, man. Give us some people don't know you, no?
Yeah, for real. Okay, former WBO, IBF, Intercontinental Champion, light heavyweight.
Yep.
Came back 13 years later and still kicked some more ass before I retired again. To 23 wins, 1 loss, and 18 knockouts.
Yeah.
I began for the last.
Those are credentials right there.
Yeah.
You know?
So since 2001, I've been training, working with young people, youth work, managing projects, and then kind of just worked my way up, added more skill sets, counseling, stuff like that. And now I'm, just like more on the area of coaching, life coaching. I've got an organization called the Kyan Prince Foundation. If you don't know about it, please go and check it up, www.thekpf.com, and we'll be talking more about that in time if you stay tuned. Yeah, so that's me basically.
That's great stuff. That's good
man.
stuff.
And
Good stuff.
we're well pleased to have him on board as well.
100. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a pleasure to be here, man.
I've watched Mark's story from a
Journey.
distance, his journey from a distance, you know, and we lived in Spain for 10 years. Even while we was there, we saw
Yeah, wow.
the situation and stuff.
feel you.
Do you know what I mean? And
Feel you, man.
you've done amazingly well, and that's coming from someone like me as well. That you know, I've done a bit of stuff myself,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
well impressed, man. Well
Yeah,
impressed.
big.
Reintroduce
You're
yourself.
just impressed with the Most High. I'm just that visual of what God's doing, and He's just using me doing His thing. So
You're a
The
huge
vessel.
example
Yeah.
of turning a bad situation
Yeah.
into the not just a good but the best
yeah,
outcomes possible. There's a lot of people that what you went through with your son, had they gone through that, if you gave them a one wish would have been to do what you done and achieve what you done off the
I
back
hear
of that.
you. I hear you.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
totally impressed and totally impressive. I'm Anthony Spencer. Everyone knows me as Spencer. As I said, as I explained last week, I'm a published author as well as a recruitment professional. I've done a few things in my time. I've been a broker. I'm studying at the moment to earn my BSc in mental health nursing. Basically diverting, I've recruited and worked with healthcare professionals from doctors to nurses and all of it. And that was on the other side of the fence. So what I'm doing now is starting to be on the side of the fence of the people that I've worked with over the past sort of 15 years. So that's been brief.
Nice.
Thank you, Anthony. Spence, Scotty.
Yeah, good evening, good evening. My name's Anthony Scott. Everyone calls me Scott. And I am a psychotherapist now, but I've been working with, doing helping work per se for the last 20 years. And it's really poignant sitting next to you with your foundation, because 4 of those years I was in a major trauma centre in Tooting, and my role in that was working with young people impacted by serious youth violence. And
It's trauma, right?
it was, it was through that work there that I understood the deeper impact of trauma, because trauma impacts the individual, but it impacts the wider community. And my kind of focus now in my private practice, I do lots of training around the brain, attachment theory, what's going on
Yeah.
when we don't have secure attachments, how that can impact our whole life, our relationships, impact our purpose, not making us have a vision for our goal or where we want to be. And now I feel that we're all given a gift. And some of us find our gift. And that's the meaning of life. The purpose of life is, how does my gift enrich the life of other people? My gift isn't for me to just enrich myself. My gift is to actually empower other people. So I'm all about this kind of stuff, like speaking with people, doing these thinking, thoughtful conversations so that we garner some positive energy, because we need to change the narrative around masculinity, what masculinity means, what is a man, the narrative that we're told about black masculinity is that it's hypersexualized, it's hyper-violent, and I want to be part of that narrative that changes it. Yes, we can look after ourselves, but the measure of a man is how well can you articulate and turn the other cheek and express your thoughts and your feelings, so you're able to actually navigate this world and open doors. So it's kind of touching sitting here with you now, knowing your narrative and your story, and I won't go into it, we're going to spend some time. But just being on the other side of the fence in our hospital for 4 years and seeing that stuff live and the impacts on the society. And so that's myself. I'm Scotty.
Yeah, Scotty.
You could listen to Scotty all night.
telling you,
Yeah?
I'm telling you.
I nearly went to sleep and wake back up again.
Telling you about
He's got that
Morgan-
tone, innit? He's got
Morgan
that
Freeman voice,
soothing
man.
Barry White with
Yeah.
with like little Baileys and
Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman. That's the
Moody
one.
But a
Moody.
lot went on there when he was talking. there was so much layers
Yeah.
There's lots of thinking behind.
to what you was just
Yeah,
talking
I
about,
mean,
man.
and if you guys want to reach out to a proper therapist, feel free to reach out to Scotty
Yeah,
or
man.
indirectly we can send you the
Yeah,
information.
my website's
Scotty.
available. It's
Yeah,
on the,
he's-
it's on the
he's
BACP. So I'm a registered member of the British Association of Counselling and Psychotherapy. My details are there. But most of my clients that I get now is through word of mouth. I don't really advertise because doing this therapeutic
You still
work,
got to live.
Yeah, I don't
can't-
advertise
can't-
per se because
yeah.
I have different roles.
still
So
gotta live.
my favourite thing that I enjoy the most is going into services, police, probation, social care, and talking about young people and trauma. Last week I had a weird one. I went into a college.
Hold on, we're gonna
Yeah,
get
it was a
into
weird
it.
one
But
last
let's-
week.
But keep that.
Yeah, I'm
we're
gonna
gonna
keep it.
jump back on that. But let's
Time is flying.
Before you know it, we blink and we
I'm telling you how
delve
the
into what we're
time
supposed
gone.
to deal with.
So
Yeah?
I'll keep mine very brief. My name's Mark Rowe. Some of you know me as Marky Mark. I mentor, teach, tutor young people. I've been doing it since 2005 in various roles: healthy cookery, mentoring young people in social care, and all types. Children who are not in mainstream education. And my passion is just young people and seeing young people developed and be the best that they can be. That's me in a nutshell.
Thank you, Marky Mark. And before I introduce myself, I want to big up Spencer Ferron in his absence. He's a part of the show. He had to go down to the Anthony Joshua and Wilder announcement today. They're going to be fighting in Saudi. You know, he's a boxing historian. He's a pundit, broadcaster. He's got a podcast called The Fight Is Right with Tunde Ajayi. He's an all-round good guy. You know, he's a guy with a heart of gold, philanthropist, a community leader. He's worked with Legacy in some of our schools and brought the kids to tears when he engaged with them. So he's very much,
and he's my
you know what I
friend.
mean, very much a part of
For a long time.
this conversation. So we're going to big him up in his absence.
100.
Last but not least, my name is Marlon Morris. The banner just shares a little bit about what I do. The foundation, Legacy Foundation, Global CIC is the non-for-profit community arm of what we do, where we provide prevention, intervention and exit programs for young people that not in education and training, in the criminal justice system or in the mental health system or need family support. Those are the 4 areas we kind of pivot around. And then we got the commercial arm, which is a bit of entertainment with a few good men. We do promotional events for since 2005. And that's segued into us owning our own venues. Had a few venues over the years in Hackney Wick, ICANN Studios, Legacy Lounge, ICANN Sports Lounge down in Enfield. And then that led me onto the hospitality stuff, where I did a bit of bodyguarding and looking after dignitaries and principals in Africa, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Marbella, France, Paris. Right now, what I've recently been doing is being a carer for my mum, who recently passed away, and she passed away 3 months ago, and I was caring for her for 3 years, and that is why I felt like a conversation like this is necessary, because when you start to see, you go through life gaining stuff and acquiring stuff, and then you go through life, you're losing stuff, then you should share some of the lessons learned along the way. And I feel with the conversations like this with wise counsel, there is lessons to learn in life so we can help us to leave a legacy. So that's what it's about. That's just a few things of what I do. So I won't bore you with what I do, because it's not about really me. But the conversation we're going to have today, we're going to kick it off with purpose. And I just want to establish... last week, before we did that, we wanted to recap. Have you done a recap?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask 4 that was here last week, basically, because for me personally, the last week has been a journey of looking at things from loads of different angles I never looked at them from before in the last week. And I'm not talking about, I was still living my life. You couldn't have told I was going through that if you was with me the whole week. So I'm talking about those quiet times where you've done your ironing for the night and you chill back, everything's done, ready for tomorrow, you've eaten, you got the news on, but you're not watching the news. You're processing stuff. So I just wanted to know if anybody else in the last week went through that. And before anyone answers that, I'll tell you the one thing that really kept coming back without me prompting it. It's just the same thing. Not the same thing every day, but it came back the most out of everything I was processing was my home, the home I grew up in. And I was looking at that because of the dots that connected when we was talking last week, yeah? Those dots connected on the spot. However, when I left here and went home that night and the subsequent days after that, wholly part of the angles kept coming to me that I've never been through before. So the biggest thing that kept coming back to me was my home and the home I grew up in. And really, and I'll tell you the biggest thing, and then I'll stop and I want you guys to but I grew up thinking I was the black sheep of the family. And it's been like a baggage on my back my whole life. Because I was the worst of the 7 children. I was the naughtiest of the 7 children, but I was the oldest and I've done worse of things than any of my brothers ever did. Me and then the next 4 never done nothing wrong. And then the last 2 did dabble a little bit. So because of that, I've just had this thing in my head, yeah, you're the black sheep, Andy, you're the black sheep, you're the black sheep, you're the black sheep. In the last week, I started to think to myself, do you know what? You weren't the black sheep. You reacted to how you grew. You were a result of how your family was the dynamic of your family, the way you was raised, really, and the things you went through. So literally, 56 years old, yeah, and I can honestly say from the age of about 16, I've had this black sheep, you're the black sheep, you're the black sheep, running through my DNA the whole time. Not that it bothered me, don't get me wrong, yeah, but that's how I saw myself, yeah? And in the last week, if that weight was 20 kilos I was carrying, just to put a number to it so you understand what I'm saying, yeah? If that weight was a sack of 20 kilos that I had on my back all these years, the last week I've looked at it as a 5 kilo back. Wow. Because 15 kilos of that I'm now putting to what I went through. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a lighter weight and I'm looking at it differently since the last week.
You're recycling it and sending
right,
it back
reprocessing it and re-looking at it and things like that, you know?
So just to help the viewers that are listening, what you're telling them is that you basically chose to think a thought that whether you said it didn't bother you, but all our thoughts affect the way that we function.
For real.
Thoughts lead to feelings.
100%.
Feelings lead to actions. And actions give us our results.
100%.
So regardless of what we say, that thought that I'm the black sheep of the family has had a massive effect
of course,
on your life the whole time. So the point I'm making is now you've recognized that something shifted. You've had a paradigm shift, right, in the way you're thinking. So what are you saying is I don't take ownership of that thought and that belief anymore. That's what you're saying to us.
Yes, that's what you're saying.
Because that's the only way.
Yes, I own the things I've done.
Pounds.
Yeah, I've owned the things I've done, but rather than before last week, everything I've done, I've put 100% my fault, 100% my doing, 100% me. It was my brain, it was my badness, it was my heart, my mindset. Now I say, yes, I did those things, but you know what? It really was not me. I was young, I was growing.
You know what it is?
Do you understand?
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
From a
It
therapeutic
doesn't make
lens.
sense. But I don't want to go.
Therapeutic lens.
You know, we're going to go into coaching.
No,
and
not even that.
work
But like,
mode.
we've all got from our early attachments, and I talk about attachment all the time because it can shape your trajectory in life. And I call it wounded child. You probably know the terminology. Like, we've all got wounded children. And stuff happened to us when we was younger. Everyone, whether it's relationship with parents, siblings, trauma, whatever. And sometimes that wounded child doesn't get soothed. And that wounded child now is in an adult form.
Becomes an adult.
And then you've almost got a fully, so I say this all the time, we've got a lot of adult males in our community, but we don't have a lot of men.
You know what I call them?
What?
Clones.
I call them adult males. They're just adult,
Some
but they're
men are
adult
not even
males
men.
in their physical
But
being,
Now, I've
but in their
concluded
mind.
that some men, they look like man from the outside, they talk like man, yeah? But, I was watching this thing on Instagram where a man shared this Jamaican preacher, and she said she don't want no jellyback man. She want a real man, not jellyback man. Man supposed to be man, talk like man, walk like man, and
Do man things.
and do man things.
But you see,
But
if you
there's,
think
right
we
now,
model
the man
that,
them is fight. Some of the man them is fighting for the woman toilet.
Yeah,
but
that's
what I was saying is that wounded child. If you don't do that work, that wounded child then stays with you throughout your adult life.
So
And
let me
then you make decisions, and sometimes you might be in an adult decision process, but it triggers your wounded child. So instead of you responding from an adult perspective, you now respond from that wounded child perspective, because that wounded child always wants to protect itself.
I'll
And
give you a
always wants to
practical-
soothe itself.
I'll give you a practical example of and this is the one example I'm going to give just to round off what I'm trying to say, yeah? So I've been in a whole heap of road rage incidents growing up, yeah, when we was younger men. I'm sure we've all been in that, yeah? Now, every time that's happened, yeah, it's happened, dealt with it, got in my car, drove off, yeah? Last week, I started thinking to myself, but you grew up watching your dad do that. How come you never connected the dots before? How come you never realized? Because every time I've done that, I've just thought it was me, innit? The black sheep, the guy who's got that bad behavior, whatever.
Bad behavior.
But when you think about it, like I said last week when I was telling you guys, on a Sunday, my dad's the first in church, but on a Monday, don't cross him off in the traffic. So I grew up seeing that. But I never connected the dots. I never saw what he was doing as road rage, because that term didn't exist even then. It's a new term as we're growing up, right? It never existed in the 80s. No one knew about road rage in the 80s. But that's what I was watching. Now, until I spoke during the show, I didn't connect the dots. So that was one of the things what I mean when I look back,
Yeah.
I'm seeing myself as the black sheep, the guy with the bad behavior, but there's a lot of things during this past week that I can connect the dots right back to what I saw that I never knew the dots connected. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm trying to say.
From my therapeutic lens, it makes perfect sense because it's learned behavior.
Yeah.
Like if you witness a behavior growing up, that's your default. That's what you learn how to respond.
And are you saying that through the whole time of you growing up, you didn't think, well, my dad had a temper, so I can see
Where it
the
came from.
connection. Are you saying that that thought never came through your head, not once?
I'm telling you the God's honest truth, because I always saw myself as so much worse than my dad. So I never put nothing down to him.
Now I know you might have
Do you know
seen
what I
it worse than him, but I'm talking about where you see likeness. Every man looks for likeness in their dad, right?
Yeah.
That's if you have a dad.
When I've
Okay,
been,
if you have,
when
well,
I've-
obviously, if you know you got a dad, then I'm talking about the one that's got a dad, right?
Yeah.
You can't do it if you don't have a dad.
Of course,
right?
of course.
So if you got a dad, you kind of look to see where I'm like my dad.
Do you know something? There was things, like I said on the show last week, there were things he didn't do. He didn't change nappies and things. I said, I'm going to be a better man than him. And I changed nappies. There are things he did, like beat us and things like that, especially me and the next one after me. Then the sister came, and he started to slow down from my sister came. From the third came, us two older ones, we got it worse, yeah? So things like that, I said to myself, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm going to be a better man, yeah? And then And as much as I say this about my dad, yeah, I have to respect him because he had 7 children. When Choppers came out, all of us had Choppers. When Grifters came out, we all had Grifters. We all got new shoes come September, new everything. So when it comes to taking care of his kids, you know, he was a top guy, yeah? But he didn't pay attention to the atmosphere within the home that he was creating.
That
Do you
stick up
understand?
in there, that's beautiful.
So what
That's
is this
beautiful.
conversation showing you? I've got to put my coaching hat on, yeah?
Please do.
Because what's happening
Please do.
here is
But it's-
you have recognized things.
Yeah.
You have recognized things. You recognize how your dad is, certain qualities that he's had. So you realizing what you don't want to be like,
Yeah.
then you can definitely see what there are some similarities with your dad, and there's some things that you don't want to be like him.
Right.
You are conscious of that, right?
Yes.
So all I'm saying is, as you're going through the process of your own life,
Yeah.
you would have had to have a sit down and think about your behavior at some point.
Mine, yeah, but I never connected the dots is what I'm saying.
And you never felt do you know
never-
what? My dad kind of blows off quite quick. Because I thought that about my dad.
Right.
I thought I'm pretty much, my dad's got a temper and he switches.
Yeah,
I've
like
got
my
a
dad
temper
switches.
and I switch as well. Well, I used to be like that.
Yeah.
Until I recognised it was something I had to work on.
And then it
Never
goes
Once you
back.
connected the
recognise it, you start putting some work in. I'm really glad that like you've got to
No,
that
I've been
point.
putting work in without seeing the aspect of
I
it.
see.
Do you see what I mean?
I see.
Bro, I've been putting work in from, my mum passed away from 2002.
Do you want to lose that
I've
other
been-
5 kg?
100%.
Okay.
Are you going to carry it for me?
Okay, no,
I'm joking,
what?
I'm
Don't have to.
I'm joking.
No one does have to.
No,
Let's
I'm joking.
understand this. Thoughts are optional. Okay, this is a breakthrough today. And for many people listening, it's going to be a breakthrough. Thoughts are optional,
Yeah,
right?
like your thoughts are.
Thoughts are optional. When you was a youth, it was a lot more difficult then. Your cognitive, levels haven't started kicking
Developing
in.
properly.
This part, the amygdala
Prefrontal
part,
cortex,
your brain hasn't developed yet until you're 25. So we can understand all that. But once we get to that point in life, we could start researching, studying, thinking about our behavior and what we're doing. And a lot of us don't realize that thoughts are optional and belief systems are too. Because all belief systems are is a sentence in our brain that we've held on to and that we've believed for all these years. Like you have, I believed I was the black sheep of the family. Now, listen to how simple this process is. It takes practice, but the process is simple. You don't want to own that anymore, do you?
Hell
You
no.
don't want to own the
100%,
fact that you
100%.
believed I was the black sheep of the
100%.
family because it put 20 kg on
On my
your
back.
emotional luggage
Do you
back, right?
understand?
To release that, what thought would you like to put in place and dash that one out?
You know
What do you
what?
wanna
In
believe?
brief, I'm a product of someone else's raising.
How does that sentence, how does that belief make you feel?
15 kg, that's what I came to. Seriously, that's what I came to last week. So I guess the last 5G that I'm carrying
Is what?
Is me trying to be accountable for my own personal thoughts, for my own decisions that I made at that moment, at those moments, in the things that I'm now looking back on.
So that 5 kg is your conscience.
Is my, that's the
5
best way to put it.
kg,
That's the
that
best way to
5
put it.
kg.
I don't want to say everything I did was down to someone else because that's
that's
kind of
right.
pretty
Yeah,
stupid
excuse.
an excuse to say that. Hence, I dropped from the 20 kg to the 5 kg because yes, I did make those decisions myself.
Good. So
Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
can you love yourself and be compassionate with yourself like we need to be able to move on productively?
Yeah,
100%,
I like
and I'm
that
on
because
an
you
ongoing
see,
work at that.
I talk about this all the time. Self-compassion. When somebody wrongs you, that's projection. They're projecting their stuff onto you.
100.
Self-compassion is giving yourself that love, that that look in the mirror, that look in the morning, that telling yourself, I'm Scotty. And I believe that wholeheartedly, 100%. How do I feel about myself? I feel about myself like I am who I am. And I got my strengths and my weaknesses. But yes, I have to be compassionate. I've made mistakes. We're going to talk about forgiveness because your level of forgiveness is on a different level. But forgiveness is forgiveness. And when you learn to forgive yourself, forgiving others is almost like a walk in the park because you have that self-compassion for self. So then you develop compassion for others.
So, Scotty, in layman terms, isn't that just like putting down your ego? When you say like somebody wrongs you, yeah, people react in different ways. People react the way how they expect other people view you, and they expect you to react that way. So a lot of people are reacting for show.
Yeah, because it's deep. Our ego is what kind of
Fuels
drives
us.
behavior.
Yeah,
It fuels us.
a
What's
lot of
people going to
behaviour.
say about me? What's people going to think about me? When you operate from a non-egotistical state, I don't care what people have to say about me.
There you go.
Because what they have to say about me is irrelevant. What I have to say about myself is the most important, because every day when I wake up, I got to look in that mirror and I've got to be compassionate to myself. And that means I need to give myself that value of who am I, what am I about, coming back to what is my purpose here?
So stick a pin. What did you get from last week?
What did I
Just
get
keep
from
it
last week?
succinct and
Last
short.
week, it's difficult for me because I reflect all the time. I don't wander around aimlessly in life. Like, I'm thinking all the time about conversations. I'm thinking about when you talked about Yaka Lane and
Yaka
this man,
Avenue.
and the man coming with the machete. So even though that was in Yard, in England, we had a different traumatic violence experience. Like, I used to see white man in suede shoes. And when you walk around a corner, if I saw an ex-black man, I don't know him, but we're walking together because it could go wrong. And so that was one level of trauma that you experienced with it. But we've all suffered some traumatic experiences growing up, either from violence, witnessing it, hearing it, being exposed to it, living in communities where violence is normalized. And that's what I took away, that, you know that old Jamaican saying, what's joke to me might be dead to you. So I can't minimize anybody's traumatic story. Because to me, your dad used to shout at you. I might think, well, boy, at least you had your dad to shout at you. That's nothing.
yeah.
But to the individual that experienced that, that was probably as traumatic as your uncle licking your fence with machete. So everyone's trauma
It's different.
is valid.
Yeah.
And we can't minimize somebody's story.
Thank you, Scotty. What did you get from last week?
I think-
And Marky Mark.
Moving forward, what I got from last week was the fact that I think the four of us sitting down and talking and even showing at times a sense of vulnerability will inspire a lot of people. I was saying to Mark, I bucked him up in the car park, that it was refreshing. Most of the time when you see the man them sitting down round table, we're talking about football, boxing, sports, bravado stuff, ego stuff. But when you're talking and you're starting to peel away some of the layers of your personal onion, you know, that affects other people. Everything we do affects you and it affects other people. You may not know the people that you're affecting, but you're affecting other people. And I think the mere fact that we could sit here as grown men and sit down and, as I said, strip a couple layers away from us, show a little bit of vulnerability, it only opens it up for more of these conversations to go on and for more men to can sit down and know they can talk without having to put on this front.
Yeah.
You know, leg of the ego, and they can talk and share experiences, and people will have empathy for each other instead of going away and sniggering and sending WhatsApp to your brethren after, boy, you know, said Spence did say this and Milo said that, and gone past all of them thing there.
Yeah,
And because it's a fast-moving world, and as you were saying earlier on, Mark, it's about pressing your foot on the gas, because things is moving fast, and if we ain't moving fast to try and counteract some of the things that's going on,
You're not playing catch up.
You're constantly playing catch up, and that's what I'm saying.
These times, playing catch up.
I think these are really powerful platforms that Milo's created here with you, awesome gentlemen.
We have.
Because it really opens the door and kind of gives them the license to open up more freely. And as people, there's a lot of brothers in relationships that probably never really opened up properly to their own missus. And the way that they communicate, it's not really open. Like in my marriage that I'm in right now, I've recognized that the best part of it is that we talk to each other about the things that normally you don't share. They're just stuff that goes on in your own head. And I've realized in my marriage that I was chatting with my missus one day, I said, you know what, the best thing, let's talk to each other about the things that go on in our head. That because we got 40 to 60,000 thoughts a day, right? And they just pass us by. But we don't realize how much they actually have an effect on how we feel.
On how you're going to behave on that day.
All of that,
something,
right?
yeah.
Exactly. So sometimes your missus might be reacting in a certain way and you're thinking, what's wrong with you, man? But it's what's the thoughts going on in her head that's created these feelings that she's got, right? And if we could start saying, do you know what, babe, I was just thinking this, and I've realised that that's what's
You know, last week, I gave these guys an analogy about this.
Yeah.
You know, like the iceberg that sank the Titanic. The tip of the iceberg
was there,
is the
right?
behaviour
100%.
or the thought.
Yeah.
But it was all of that stuff underneath the iceberg that sunk it.
Yeah.
So sometimes we have to be like divers in thinking and being more curious about what was you. I wonder what you was. I'm not sure. Was you thinking this? And you're almost doing this checking thing. So like, it's reminding me of the training. In training, we call this mentalization.
Yeah.
When you're able to be curious about people's minds, you're not being assertive or making assumptions.
Yeah. You're
being inquisitive. And you're using. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it was this. Could it have been that you're curious about the thinking behind the behavior, and then what that does. So what we're showing here now is we're modeling being curious about minds, because we're now showing that I'm curious about how did you go through your process. I'm curious about how did Milo. I don't know. I want to be curious about how did you cope with some of those feelings and what was it like? And then it now makes me tap into my feelings, and then I'm able to make sense of me. So this is why it's really important, as you said, to have these spaces where you can almost see men doing this thinking stuff. We're not just doing large. We're actually thinking about feelings and behaviour instead of just giving it large.
As well, and honest.
Just for the viewers, because I'm always focused on them. I love people coming away with some food, some mental food, spiritual food. That is one way to enrich your relationships. Wives, you know, the women, them out there with your partners, encourage, sit down and create that platform where your partner can feel safe, where they can feel like they can express themselves without judgment, and use that word to help you. Be curious, not judgmental, not assuming that, because what we do is, whether it's a man or a woman, we already are working out why they're saying what they're saying.
And sometimes we already think we know what it is as well.
We're creating the problem there.
I'm going to come back. And remember earlier on I spoke about the wounded child. So sometimes in adult relationships, you got the adults communicating as adults.
Yeah.
Sometimes the adult says something and it triggers the wounded child. And now, instead of the adult to adult, you have a wounded child communicating with an adult. So now that's when defense mechanism comes in. Accusations, anger, defensiveness. That's what, because the adult now, the wounded child now feels attacked. So he's now defensive. So really powerful statements there about...
I'll give you a scenario, sorry, Spencer. And it had to be at least 15, 20 years ago. One of my good brethren there, he was living with his woman at the time. And I went and checked him one evening. And he opened the door, and when I went into the front room, the two of them were sitting on the floor, middle of the front room, no music, no telly on, just sitting there facing each other. So we working. What I do?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this is our time. We're just here talking.
And he let you in.
And he let me into it. But guess what? It wouldn't have made no... Because at that time, my thought process and thinking, I couldn't understand it.
Really,
I'm looking at him, I'm like, what you doing?
I would have
You
thought
can
that.
sit down with your girl like this.
Yeah, just
Bridging,
looking
look
her
at
eyes.
touch road. You understand? I couldn't get my head around how he could sit down in silence. There's no other added things, no TV, and just the two of them sitting down
way before
face
their
to
time,
face.
innit? That sounds
And that's
way
what I'm
ahead of
saying.
their
That's
time.
15. That's way ahead of my time. I can
Way ahead
admit
of my
that.
time as well.
I was
Way
lost,
to do
bruv.
something like that. I would do
looked
something
and
like
I
that
thought,
now.
knowledge
I can
wasn't-
do that now.
The access to that knowledge wasn't. It's whether we want it or not.
Open it up at
They,
the time,
they
yes.
obviously wanted to enrich their relationship and went out and found ways to enrich their relationship. The knowledge has always been here.
But
for
fast
us.
forward, they're
It's
not
whether
together
we wanna
now.
Go for it.
But at that time, you know,
At that time, it made
was
sense.
working. It made sense.
You should
But
have
it
said
didn't-
that though.
No, it's good to say that.
No, it's
It's a
good
joke.
to
No,
say
it's a
that
joke. It's a joke.
because-
It's
He's
a
right,
joke.
because they might not have continued.
Exactly.
And that's what
there could have been a
creates the
breakdown
problems.
in that because you set your
You
stall
know,
out one way
I'm
and it
curious
changes.
about Milo now.
Yeah,
because
I wanted
know
to
we're
find out
talk-
what
we're talking about
Milo
purpose.
went.
You know what it
Milo's
is? I'm just
process.
conscious of the
We're
time.
talking about
You
purpose.
know what? Before
so I'm
we
going to
leave-
bring it back. We're
go
talking
out.
about purpose.
But we
Mark
want to
needs
hear
to
you're
talk
the
about
last
the
one to speak
forgiveness.
now about what your last week has been about.
You know, sorry, you
Before
wanted
we
to
go
say
on
something before I go?
to
Yeah.
pain and purpose.
Go on.
I was going to say about purpose because the theme of our conversation today was about purpose, about
Yes.
how
Pain
do
and purpose,
people
innit?
or how do men find their purpose? What is my purpose here? My belief is we are all gifted with something. We are not sent here to breathe fresh air and die. We are here to do something. And that isolation that we speak about, taking time out, understanding yourself, becoming more learned. And when I say learning, I'm not talking about reading. I'm talking about being curious about people, conversing with different people. It will give you different perspectives on life. The main thing that stops people from their purpose is fear. Fear of, am I going to get it wrong? Is it going to work? Is it going to happen? But there's that self-belief that I talk about, that self-compassion about looking in the mirror and, you know, like really ask, why am I here? What is my qualities? What do I have? What do I bring? And understanding your vulnerabilities and actually belief in yourself. And like everyone that's here now, we have a different story. But the main thread that runs through our stories is we believe in self and we understand that we have a purpose. The work that you do is phenomenal. You know, like what you do in the mornings.
Walk and
You
talk.
walk and talk, or when you used to do the radio show. You know, some people would never do that because they would be fearful of what they think people might think of them.
This is what I was saying earlier on about everything that we do. We inspire people. We just don't know all the time. The people that walk and talk, there was just something. I went out and started walking. I got a crisp part behind me that it took me 6 years to discover. But now I have. You can't get me out of it. You understand? So I'm walking, I'm saying, oh, I can record and say 2 words and let people know. And then people phone me up, boy, Mark, you've inspired me. I'm going out, I'm doing a little walk, I'm doing a something. So that's another purpose in life, inspiring other people. Some people alleviating other people's fears. As what you said, people want to do things, say things, and they think, you know, you might come up with something and there'll be 20 people behind you saying, boy, that's exactly what I wanted to say, but them never have the balls for say. You understand? So they hide behind people. And it's about we as men being able to control our fears. And as what I was talking about earlier, putting down the ego and just putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
You can't be loved and liked by everybody.
All of this that Milo's created is an example to the next generation.
Yes.
Because it doesn't matter what happens, you're going to have fears about it.
Of course.
And when you're looking at all of these branding, everything that Milo's done, what you're looking at is a man that's faced his fears.
Exactly.
Because you know how many things can go wrong when you're trying to create a business, and
Anything.
trying to create an event, and trying to, you know, help other people.
Yes,
and
yes, man.
so much things, so much
So many
risk of
negative
putting.
thoughts.
There's so
you're
much hurdles.
so
That
flat
will
on
cross
your
your
face.
mind.
And then people don't give enough credit to people for not being successful, but attempting.
Trying. Yes.
So we got this horrible.
Let me just jump onto what you just said there, yeah, bro. Let me just, because you know what, I've been really. I'm a student when I'm around great men like you. I'm a student because, you know, you guys are very intelligent and wise, and I listen. Even we might not get on sometimes or disagree, I listen. You know what I'm trying to say to you? But this is probably the most important topic that a man can ever discuss, is finding his purpose. Because when you find your purpose, you find a sense of, let me just establish what I understand purpose to be. Purpose, the reason or intention behind an action, decision or existence. It is the driving force that gives meaning and direction to one's life or work. Having a sense of purpose often involves having goals, values, and a sense of fulfillment or satisfaction in what one does. It can vary from person to person and can encompass various aspects of life, such as personal relationships, career, or contributing to a great cause. Yeah? A man without purpose is like a plane without a pilot. A man without purpose is like bun without cheese.
Don't work.
A man without purpose is like a ship without no captain or no anchor. You know what I'm trying to say to you? A man without purpose shouldn't be in a relationship. A man without purpose shouldn't have money.
I would prefer not to live life at all if I have life.
No purpose.
Listen, I've lived life with no purpose. Remember last week I talked about flying past my nest?
Yeah, but Milo, you always wanted to live with purpose.
I did.
That's right.
But you know
That's
what
makes
happened?
the
Life
difference.
happened. Life happened. And see, there was enemies. And this is what I wanted to talk about. What are the obstructions to a man discovering his purpose, knowing what his purpose is, why purpose is important? What are
Can
some
I
of the
answer
things?
that first question?
Yes,
Go ahead,
please
bro.
do.
Go ahead.
Yourself.
That's the biggest
yourself.
obstacle.
It's true.
Well, I was
Your
going
own
to...
I'll make you
mind.
right.
Yeah.
I'll make you right.
What I was going to ask him
Your
was,
own mind.
as he's going through the years and going through the gears, yeah, it was all purpose.
It
But
was. I was
now
just going to say that.
It was all purpose,
But it's not
it's
the purpose.
different purpose.
Yeah.
But now you've come full circle. You understand now that what you was doing before was some stupidness purpose.
You
But
did
at
have
that
purpose
time,
then.
But it was a purpose.
You did have purpose.
100%.
All of us had purpose. All of us wanted to. We were aspiring to something.
You know why?
Regardless of what we did, we was aspiring
You know why
to
I got
something.
into promotion? I got into promotion, and the story's going to sound so ridiculous, yeah? But I'm going to tell you why I got into promotion.
Yes,
yeah?
go on.
I used to have this fantasy of having a surprise birthday party
Yeah.
when I was a little child. I used to think that I would come home one day for my birthday and people are going to jump out and say, surprise! Surprise! Brother, this never happened. Brother, year after year, brother, I'm waiting for the surprise. Step up.
You need a shoulder.
Brother. In 2005, I decided to surprise myself. I decided. I said, nobody's gonna surprise me. I'm gonna surprise myself.
Say my phone still a black.
Hear me, I say, God, man, I'm gonna surprise myself. You understand?
Yeah.
So what I did was, I hired out this halfway house. There was a lot of men that was on substance, and I basically negotiated with all the men. Them and said, listen, you need to just find somewhere to live for the weekend, yeah? And I paid everybody. It was a big, like 10-bedroom hostel, yeah? And I hired out the place and I booked some of these big DJs. This time Facebook wasn't even out yet. I paid a man £750 to create an event page on Facebook. I won't call them names of the people, but you know who they are. Right? £750 to create. And I called it I Need a Babysitter. Mark, this party was legendary. It lasted 3 days. The party... 3-day party, right? It starts Saturday and it finished on Tuesday, right?
Christ.
It went on and on and on. I'm not gonna lie to you. I only charged £5, yeah? £5. Just to cover the cost. My intention was just to cover the cost and the
you
DJ,
wanted
them,
a you
liquor
wanted a
food and
surprise.
things like
Yeah.
that.
Buzz
Do you
got me
know how
Buzz got
much
me
money
cheers
I
for the laugh.
collected?
But he did
Could have
surprise
collected
himself.
3
No.
days.
Do you know how much
Buzz
money
spent?
I
He did
collected?
surprise himself.
Yeah?
Collect money.
I
Make money.
collected £12,500
From
You
the bar.
surprised yourself.
when I surprised myself for them the money
told
there.
ya.
Me said, me not. Why am I going to
no,
work?
can I
what
just
happened
say
before?
something? Can I just say something? Do you see the power of thought?
Yeah, aye.
Listen to what he said. I'm going to surprise myself.
Yeah.
He didn't even know how.
I didn't
But
know how.
because that was his purpose and intention
Yes.
for that period
Yes,
of
man.
time, he was rewarded.
Right.
Listen,
Because
I've
you
gone
went
on.
out there.
Bruv, I don't want the viewers to miss this.
It's deep.
Because the power of their mind that we all possess, we're not connecting with.
Yeah.
And we're so low and down
Yeah,
and
but it's
all of
connected
this,
to your purpose.
But we're not connected
And it's connected
understanding
to your
what
passion.
we've got. And we've been given this beautiful gift by the purpose giver, the Most High, who everything he does has purpose. So when he created us, we've got purpose in us, built in, just like everything that's created has got everything it's needed
It needs,
built
for
in
real.
to the product.
Mark, let me
So
jump
I can-
on that.
aye, so I can
go on.
take out from this then that when Milo surprised himself, that was the beginning of his purpose changing. Because that when he put on this dance, yeah, remember he's paid out enough people as you
Yeah.
said for come out. You could have flopped
Could have flown
and
easy.
not met the money,
Easy.
right?
Easy.
You made
But I
it.
reckon he
was
still would have been happy.
successful.
I reckon he still would have been happy as
It'd
long as
been-
people
Weren't
turned
about
up.
the money.
Because it
It
wasn't
wasn't
about the
about
money.
the money.
He didn't do it for the
Right,
money.
but what I'm
If
saying
people
to
had
you
turned
is-
up, he would have been happy with
Yes.
that.
More
Do you
than
know what I mean?
happy.
What I'm saying to you when I say flop, not so much on money does come into it. If no one ain't there, there's no party,
Of
there's no
course.
money, there's no nothing. But it was successful. So from there, his purpose is now starting to change. I've put this on this event when I had my own inner fears that what am I doing, and look what I achieved. You're gonna move and build on from there.
Yeah.
It may not be the correct purpose again, but it's another level of purpose that you're reaching out
And
to.
you know something? I'm going to interject because you see, that's what you call business acumen. Now, I ain't going to tell people your history and so forth, but we all know that we've all done bits that, you know, we've done. And how does a man turn that
Into a
acumen
business.
into an acumen where actually my purpose is now bigger? So the work that you do, there's lots that you have to do. And I loved when you said people don't understand what it takes to do business. The failures that you have to go through, the lessons that you have to learn, even small businesses, even if I'm making a product and selling it on Etsy, I still have to go through processes of, wow, this month I never sell no product. Do I need to increase my ads? Do I need to do more? What? It's a learning process. So through those lessons, you get a deeper sense of purpose because now you're learning lessons that's going to shape your thinking, and your thinking is going to impact how you feel, and how you feel is going to impact your actions.
Let me ask the two counsellors, sorry, the two
You
counsellors
fail
are
your
residents.
way
Sorry,
to
Mark.
success.
Right.
I had to add that.
But let
You
me ask
fail
the
your
two
way to
counsellors
success.
on
That's
here.
a beautiful saying.
Where do you learn more from?
You fail your
your
way to
failures
success.
or your successes?
You learn
Your
more.
failures. I think
from-
you learn
That's what
more
I
from your
think.
failures.
Yeah.
You learn more from the process.
Yeah.
Okay.
The going through because you have successes and failures, but it's the process of when you do something and that reflection.
That's what I
So when I
asked.
talk
That's what
about
I'm asking.
isolation,
Yes.
so part of our conversation today was talking about, as men, do we need to isolate sometimes? Do we need to go and meditate? Do we need to sit down in our yard and say, here, what now? Telly, that's where. I got some books, I've got some radio or some frequencies that's going to put me in a place where my mind is kind of at ease, where I can like just kind of feel myself. I can feel my vibrations. I can feel myself. I can feel my heart. I can feel the emotions in my body. And then I start tapping into those emotions. And then I start thinking about what am I feeling? What am I experiencing? And then, you know, you start seeing things differently. So isolation is part of the purpose finding. Unfortunately, some of us, our isolation was forced isolation. We had to go and sit. And last week we spoke about a camp just to really broadcast, the camp is a place where lots of men in our community go, and we can't minimize it because that's a place where
Can I stop you there? We have to stop talking camp. Because there was
No,
people.
no,
that
I know,
was
but I think
messaging-
it's best because some of us need to use that word. I beg you to.
I hear what
No,
you're
because
saying,
use the
but
word
in
camp.
the general consensus of people watching,
Yeah.
there was people last week. Someone texted.
Someone said, "What's camp?" Yeah,
We're talking
yeah.
about Her Majesty's pleasure.
Pleasure,
We're talking
right.
about
Let
the
them under-
criminal
yes.
justice system.
HMP.
So if we're talking about the criminal justice system, a big part of my work is talking about disproportionality. So as black men, growing up in the 70s, we were more likely to be criminalized. That means we had more potential to go to prison.
Nothing's changed.
So crime was a way of life. So don't forget, we're facing disproportionality in employment, in housing, in mental health services, in the criminal justice system.
So-
So
And
a lot
education.
of us,
Education.
a
Even
lot of us,
education as well.
education. So a lot of us spent time behind the door in Her Majesty's pleasure.
Okay.
And we can't minimize that because that is something that resonates through our community.
Because
So
it's
we've
a
got
design.
it's a
for
design.
our community.
But what they've done now is, and this is about purpose again, they've now made criminality cool. So now we've got young people that think their purpose, young men, is to be about that. Part of that problem is they don't accept the risk of the job. If I'm a carpenter, I might bang my finger with a hammer. If I'm an electrician, I might get an electric shock. When I was doing what I knew that HMP was part of that process.
Risk assessment.
So when I went behind the door, it wasn't something that, it fazed me because I just knew that was part of the process.
I want to talk about something. Right? I'm not a learned man.
You are a learned man. Don't say that.
Well, I don't. A lot of my knowledge comes from the Bible. There's a man
That's learning.
in the Bible called Joseph. Some people might know him as the man.
Don't
the
belittle
man,
that.
man with.
That's what I'm saying.
That is
Hold
the
on.
manual
Let me
for
not
the
go.
product.
Let me not go further than what I wanted to go. Joseph had many color coats. He was favored by his father Jacob because of his purpose. Jacob saw his purpose and wanted to make sure that he recognized that, but he didn't recognize it because he had to go through a process, right? And part of that process was prison for him. He went to prison. He was, he had 12 brothers, and they were jealous of him. They were envious of him. And we're talking about secrets to success. And when a man finds his purpose, you're going to experience envy and jealousy. Yeah, these are one of the things that you have to deal with if you're a purposeful man. Yeah, his brothers, them were jealous of him, and what they done was they basically tried to kill him, but there was no profit in killing him, so they threw him in a pit. Yeah, and that was another part of the process that you had to go down and be humiliated and betrayed and be abandoned and be rejected to be a man of purpose. You understand? And then what happened was, I'm sure Mark can share more about this. He was sold to a governor called Potiphar. Potiphar favored him because of his gift of administration and management and gave him a position to manage his estate. But his wife, Potiphar's wife, looked at Joseph and lusted after him and wanted to seduce him. When Joseph never succumbed to the seduction, she made up a lie that Joseph raped her. Those with sense knew that never happened, even Potiphar. So Potiphar said, you know what? I've got to do something because I'm going to look like a fool if I don't do something. So I'm going to send him to prison instead of executing him. What happened was, in the prison, so he's gone from the pit to Potiphar's house to the prison, yeah? In the prison now, the prison guard them loved him so much because of his gift. You talked about your purpose being a gift, your gift making room for you. He made him head of the prison, gave him the keys to the prison. Wow. That's how trusted he was because of his what? purpose. And the Pharaoh, the story goes that he had a dream and he needed somebody to interpret the dream. And one of his gifts was interpreting the dream. They sent for Joseph. I'm fast tracking the conversation because I know we've got limited time and we need to talk about forgiveness and love. We need to give Mark his time. But what happened was they sent for Joseph. Joseph interprets the dream. Remember, I'm fast tracking. We're talking about success, secrets to success. And he becomes the prince of Egypt. So he's gone from the pit to Potiphar's house to prison to the prince of Egypt. You understand? Prince in the palace. Right? You notice the 4 P's there. Yeah? You see that?
I work with 7 P's.
Come on. But what I'm saying to you, purpose involves a process. And if a man don't have a purpose and he's not going through no process, that is a big sign of mental ill health.
Yeah.
Yeah?
And sometimes falling down.
Let me just
is,
wrap up quickly before we move on to another subject. I was just going to say, on the purpose thing, I can literally break up my purpose journey into 2 chapters. A chapter before my mum passed.
What's that noise?
Is it a phone?
Carry on.
Yeah. A chapter before my mum passed and a chapter after she passed. And if I want to really be blatant, before my mum passed, it was about being the baddest man out there and making the most money, the way we knew how to make money before she died, yeah? When she died, like I said last week, I don't want to repeat it, you know where I was. It's like a lightning struck me when she passed. And that moment on the 16th of this month, tomorrow, is 21 years, right? 16th of November 2002. On the 17th of November 2002, the day after she passed, is like a different chapter began.
Different day.
And that chapter has remained till this day.
Come on.
And the success that
What was that chapter?
It was a different purpose. There was one thing that disappointed her the most, because I was a favorite. As much of a black sheep as I was, I remained her favorite, and I couldn't understand why I was still a favorite, yeah? With all the shit I put her through.
Firstborn, man.
Right? Firstborn, and she just had love for me, yeah? And there was one thing that always disappointed her, where I was. Things like that, yeah, at the time. So clearly, what struck me, the lightning that struck me was, you go change your purpose now. Yeah, I did have a purpose. That's what I was saying to you. You did have one at the time, but it was just a different one. It was just a different. We were trying to do stuff. We were trying to get somewhere, regardless. But it was just a wrong purpose for what we were gifted with then. The gift you had, you were pursuing the wrong thing. It's like being a good boxer and trying to play football. That's not your gift. Do you understand what I mean? So I think that's what we was doing. And let me tell you a quick thing, just 1 minute thing. I got repaid within 6 months, guys. Up until then, I'd never applied for work, for jobs. I was a promoter, had a club with Kenny and that lot. I was doing great. I had a door firm, I had about 8 doormen. You can hire them. He started with me building a team of doormen, and then I hired him out. We went into debt collection at the time. We weren't regulated at the time. I was doing a whole heap of stuff. I was thought, yeah, I'm flying. I stopped wearing trainers, started wearing shoes, long coat, looked like a businessman and all that. Before I had both feet out the game. You don't. As long as one toe is still in that game, that one toe will bring down the 10 toes. Yeah? And that's what happened to me in that time. I didn't even know how to go about what I was good at in the real world. And who I was with at the time came home and gave me an Evening Standard newspaper. She goes, yeah, just look in the job bit. Just look in the job bit. Just look in the job bit. The next day she went work and I'm sat there in the bed looking. And I see a company called AIG, the biggest insurance company, hiring. They want 100 or so people. She come back, I goes, you know what? I've never done anything like this, but I'm just going to go and apply. I went and applied for the job and got it. We had that's where I learned about the 7 Ps to start with. in the training. We had a week's training. The very
What
first
are the
week, I was-
7 Ps?
prior proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a sales thing. I learned it from sales, but my tutor now, we was having that conversation the other day. He brought it up in I think rather than prior, he used another word. But he learned his from the army. I learned mine from sales. And after a week's training, I was the best salesman. And in that company, you had to come in front of the team. We used to meet every Wednesday and bring our numbers. With my very first week in the field, I smashed everybody's number. And you had to come out in front of everyone and tell them what you did. Yeah, so if you're the best guy this week, you got to do that. If you're the best female next week, you got to do that. Within a week in sales, I'm smashing it. Within 6 months, there's people that work 40 years and never get headhunted. Within 6 months, I got headhunted by Royal London, the oldest British, because AIG is American, but they were based there in Croydon. Royal London is Britain's oldest insurance company, yeah, since 1925, yeah? They came for me because the guy in the team that I used to work with, who I didn't know, because the team's like 200 people, but he was hearing about me. And he left. He applied for a job with Royal London because they pay more. He left and went over there and told his boss, there's a guy over there, you want to get him over here?
Yeah.
Without me knowing, yeah?
You know, because like it comes down to sometimes
Thank you for
you
that,
have to
Anthony.
have
Thank
a
you.
Do you know what I mean?
yeah, you have to sometimes you have to almost get knocked back, get knocked down. Failure. But as you said,
To trigger
it's
that
in
purpose.
the process of reflecting on the fail. It's not the failure. It's the process of making sense of the failure. And the most important thing is, what was my contribution to the failure?
Let's make it real then.
Yeah.
Because we can talk abstract.
Yeah.
But what really impacts the viewers is sometimes our own personal,
our own
story
personal
and our
stories.
personal testimony.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark, can you think or recall in your mind how you turned your pain
The
into
moment,
purpose?
yeah, the moment that pain
Marky
turned
Mark,
into
how
purpose.
did you turned your pain into purpose, and how you did that,
my dad
and what it
died.
was?
I think my dad died, 13 years ago now, 2010. It was the first time I stood up in front of a packed church, and it was the first time tears dropped down my eyes in 25 years. I can remember the exact date, the last time, 25 years ago, when my right-hand man went camp. And I come home from the hearing, I cried tears from a brethren, and a tear never dropped out of my eye again until my dad. And I came away from my dad's send-off, which was such a big send-off, and saying, if you can stand up in front of a church and bare your soul like that, tears and everything, you understand? That made me now, I was already working with young people by then. I was 5 years in. And when he died, I didn't do anything for 6 months. He died in September, just under 6 months, and I didn't go back to do any kind of work until the January.
So what was you doing in that time?
Let me tell you something, I was in my thoughts, I was in my feelings, I was angry, my dad's not here, you understand? The family's getting smaller. My immediate family is just 4 of us, mum, dad, me and my brother. Yep. So now out of that 4, there's only a third now of it, yep. So I'm in all of this, and that first Christmas came and I watched my mum round that dining table without dad there. And it was like, this just kind of re-energized me again now. And I'm like, I'm like what we were saying earlier, I'm stepping on the gas now. I'm going to do more. Because my father dropped out, I didn't expect him to, he did, even though he was ill. I'm like, anything can happen. I need to do, and this, legacy. Yep. So from then, that's when I'm talking about leaving a legacy, leaving my mark of something that I've left into this world. And I think that was the kind of turning point for me, him dying.
What was yours, Marlo?
Boy, I'll get on to me. But because of the time...
Yeah, say
I just
yours
wanted
and
to
then
I just wanted to give Mark his time, because that's a powerful... You see, turning pain into purpose and offense is a big enemy to your purpose, being offended. Having unforgiveness is a big enemy to your fulfilling your purpose. And Mark can talk about how he turned his pain into purpose, and how he overcame and dealt with unforgiveness, and how he used love as an energy to get him to this point. So at this point, Mark, you got 45 minutes, man.
If the Bible was still being written today, I'll be in there.
That's a big statement. That's deep. That's a big
deep,
statement.
man.
That's a huge statement right there.
Wow.
From when I was a youth, I heard about God. I found out that Christ came to deal with was a solution to a problem that we couldn't fix. See, we live in a world where we trying to fix our problem of our sinful nature, and we think we can do it by behaving good, and then we'll go off to heaven with the clouds, right? That's the story we've been sold. And when I found out that God sent his son to suffer in my shape and form, to die for me, to take the wages of sin is death, to pay my price for my life. And if I had a relationship with him, then I get to go through his process. And if I die, I get to raise up again when he comes again. That story resonated with me. That truth was so just locked into my whole psyche as a youth, 13 years old. I gave my life to God. But then we got from 13 years old to all the mess and grime that I've had to go through to find myself. So I weren't a Joseph, right? I was this confused kid being hurt by his dad, being distressed, run away from home at 15, and all of this mess, to get to a point in my life where I'm like, I need to change this. I knew that HMP was down the road, because there's only so many times you can play, can you touch my hand? Can you touch my hand? One time, they're gonna time you right and touch your hand, right? And if you're gonna keep doing moves and dirt on road to make money, then one day you're gonna get touched. I decided to switch that, change my whole mindset, lose the thought process of what the streets taught me, that I couldn't make it in this way. Here's the way you need to make it. Move it, I'll sell this, shot that, do this move, do that move. And I thought, I believe that I can become someone. I used to sign my autograph when I was a little kid and pretend that people are gonna be wanting my autograph one day. I just felt this thing about me, but didn't know what it was about. Got lost on the journey and ended up doing dirt to make money and whatever. All of a sudden, I had 2 kids, Tanisha and Kai, and I thought, nah, do you know what? Man's got to come off this, because these youths ain't going to be little for long. They're going to say, Daddy, what do you do? What am I going to say? I want to feel proud to tell my youths what to do, and I didn't want to have to tell them what they should do knowing I'm not doing it. I wanted to be an authentic brother that was teaching my kids by my own example. So I had to leave the roads. I crazily picked boxing. And because my dad was a fighter, and my dad as a professional fighter brought me up and taught us how to fight, because on the roads were skinheads, mods and all that. I'm 54, so I'm a 69 baby. So I come up through the 70s and all of that, with all of that beef going on, the 80s beef going on. So I know what it was, the problems that you face when it came to the culture I grew up in, over in this country. So when I decided to fight, it was because I had this growing up hardened. My dad was a strong man, and my dad used a skipping rope to ensure that his youths were doing what they were supposed to do, but it didn't even match up, because we were getting the skipping rope for stuff I can't even remember, bro. Like, what did we do? Like, I remember one day my dad, my dad came in from work one day. Yeah? My dad came in from work one day, and my brother was left at the front door. Now, tell me if this is anything worth licks for
Sorry.
you. So me and my brother, we come home. And I don't know what was going on. I think we were late or something. Yeah. So my mum weren't the beating type. She was the opposite of my dad. But for some reason she said, come in, I'm gonna give you one lick. But my mum's lick was so minor that it was like, yes, please, all right, let's get this over with. And she didn't believe in brutalizing. I said, put your hand out. And she shortened the skipper and go, like this in your hand, yeah? It was sting, you get a little bruise, but it's minor compared to what I'm used to. So my brother was scared of licks, period. So, and he's my older brother. So he's not coming in. So he's outside the door. So I'm begging him, bro, I got my licks already. Look, no man, I'm not. I said, bro, do you understand what you're waiting for? Dad's gonna come home and see you at the door. This guy had a brain block. He decided to stay there. Now I'll tell you what happened next has scarred me for so many years. I still remember until I got to that place where I healed a bit more, that when I used to talk about it, tears used to roll down my eyes. Wow. Because my dad came home. Now, it's not a beatable offence, bro. Like, really, you come home, you're outside, what are you doing outside? You know, and then I think mum must have told him, and then he took Junior in the sitting room and locked the door.
Just him and him.
When my dad locks the door, you're not getting any help. And Junior's a runner. I'm not a runner. I don't run anywhere. Give me my licks, I'll take it, and when it's done, right? Junior got the door locked. I heard stuff going on in there and things mashing and all of that. When he came out, do you remember Kunta Kinte?
Yeah, the beating time. Yeah.
Bro, my mum put him in a cold shower. And just showered him down. Took his clothes off. And just showered him down, bruv.
Jesus.
I never forget
the
that
stuff
image.
that we all went through,
But
man.
this is what we're dealing with. Now, I love my dad. I'm not dissing my dad. I'm just sharing my experience of what I went through at home. My dad isn't the enemy. He's not a horrible guy. He went through his own stuff. His mum used to beat him and put him in the swamp and get him to soak off when he done with his licks. You understand me? So it's just a tough process. But the reason why I'm adding this is because it's really important. And the reason why I talked about when I met God is that's important too, because it's pivotal. Because even though I've gone through this period of doing evil and taking people's money and selling people products that I shouldn't be and all that kind of messed up stuff, I got to a point where I looked in the mirror, had a word with myself. It's the most powerful thing you can do.
Oh, I say it all the time.
Ask yourself questions. What do you want? Okay? And your reason, the why is so important.
Wisdom.
Because you can know what, but what's
knowledge.
your why?
Yeah.
Do
Wisdom.
you understand
Why are you
me?
doing it?
And my why was what I said to you earlier about my children. So to cut the long story short, I went from being a roadman to being #1 in the world from that position, and then winning 2 titles, and it just became a whole And where does that come from? It comes from your Father who creates and gave you a mind with purpose. That whatever you can create, an idea you can create, that was an idea. The way he shaped it was an idea. The cup was an idea. Somebody wanted to bring something to market to serve you and make life easy where you can bust your drink.
That's the key to purpose.
Do you understand me?
But just saying that,
What,
like,
bro?
belief.
You see?
Belief can take you down different roads too.
100%.
Belief then becomes religion.
Well, look what belief was doing to me before.
Right.
It was the same belief, but a different
But in a
belief.
different way.
I
That's what I'm
didn't
saying.
believe that I could be
That you
this
could
guy.
be that person. That's right.
I believed that I belonged on the roads with these guys, and that's what these other guys believe. That's why my work is successful the way it is, because I know them. I understand them. And God's used all the mess and used it as part of my purpose
That's
to make
part of your
change. So
ammunition.
little did I know that my purpose was coming and I was on the right path.
Just gearing
I was
you up
just
for
at
it.
the ugly side of it. Little did Joseph know he was on purpose, he was on track. He just had to keep going through the mess
jump some
and the
hurdles.
bits that he didn't understand. Because there's bits of the journey we don't understand, bro.
Like
You
the
understand
prison,
me?
like the prison part. Or
100,
the pit
but you
part.
gotta stay in there.
Focus,
stay in
You
it.
can't let the belief change.
Yeah.
This is what people do.
Feel that.
They start questioning God, and not that you can't question God. We've seen it in the Word. Moses done it, Bear Man done it, but they came away from the original plan.
What do you tell the what? See, you're the oh man. What do you tell the younger self, younger Mark Prince, if he don't believe? What's the
What
way?
else you got? That's what I told the younger Mark Prince. If you don't believe, what else you got, bro? Well, you got that plan that you've been doing that's gonna put you in HMP. That current unsustainable plan that you're currently running at the moment. Is that what you got? Show me how your kids are gonna prosper from that. Show me how your family's gonna be proud of you from that. Show me the added value you brought to your ends from what you're doing, and I'll run with it.
You see, it's funny you should say that you never knew what was ahead, yeah?
Wow.
You see, living in Spain for 10 years and the life my children have had, flying everywhere, all the holidays we took. My family was the only black family on the ski slope. My kids could ski. We followed Formula One everywhere. All of that started from the Evening Standard that my girlfriend at the time threw that and said, look, see if you can find a job. You see that Evening Standard?
was your
That led
purpose.
to my first job, to me being headhunted, to me getting invited to Spain on a 5-day holiday and getting a top broker's job that led to other things and led to other things that lead to me sitting here today. That Evening Standard moment, 21 years ago,
And like Joseph, he wouldn't have seen what he's seen
100%.
if he didn't keep
Mark, I
rolling
want
with
to
the plan.
focus on where you was at 21. Now you're the world champion. Is that 21? You're the world champion.
No, it took me 6 years. So 6 years of hard committed graft. I
What
could have
weight
had a
was he?
6-year sentence.
What weight was he?
Light heavyweight.
Everywhere,
Okay.
Yeah.
So talk us through it. But
Yeah.
then what? What next?
Okay.
What happened after?
I had a great career. I had my first loss against someone who was 38-0 and I was 18-0. But because of my whole mindset was like, I'm gonna go in, if the worst case scenario, I'm gonna be better because even if I lose, I'm gonna become better because I was in there with somebody who, Roy Jones, they couldn't make a fight because it was just like a serious big match at them times, them two guys. They were pound for pounders. And I decided that I'm gonna take that fight. Then when I lost that fight, I felt this urge that I'm gonna be the greatest now because I fought against this guy and I fought so well and how the fight went. One fight later, boom, my knee pops out, my foot's over there. I'm holding my foot, begging my brother to put my foot back in the slot because it's come out, yeah? And I'm on the street sitting here and it was mad. Long story, I don't wanna go into it, right? But that's where I was. So now my career's over. I'm 19-1, number one in the world, my career's over. I'm sitting down at home with a crutch from here to here. Can't walk, my knees out of socket. Just if I try and stand up to go toilet, I'll just drop this way because the bone will come out the socket. I'm in pain 24/7. Depression starts setting in. I'm angry with God. I'm angry. I'm
Talk
telling
about
him,
that. What does
how
that
do
look like?
you allow me? I thought this was it because I thought that was the purpose. I thought that was my significance.
World champion.
I thought that was it, and it wasn't.
That was
I was
again
nowhere
part of it.
near it. And the Most High just watched me. Said, I got you, son. Let out, voice your emotions, get it out. That's the beautiful thing about dealing with God. He don't stop you from being emotional and getting out your emotions as long as you don't leave the plan. And then when I got over all that being upset, I just said, you know what, God, I'm here. What now? What now? Because I know you got a plan, I just don't know what it is. And then my sister come up and said, Ma, you know, why don't you, there's volunteering to do with Islington Council, why don't you do it? You can get your disqualification, that. And something just said, go for it. But there was pressures. I just got married. There was pressures. And my wife and me just thought we was gonna have this great life. I just bought a house. You know, we were gonna be living large. Next minute, bruv, I got Santander on my ass looking for that mortgage though, people. And that man couldn't even walk. Pressures left, right, and center. I'll never forget that period of my life. Oh my gosh, it was pure pressure every day. Anyhow,
Pressure bust pipe.
I stayed with the program until one day when I'm doing this work and it was really kind of building. They gave me managerial position. It was really building. Things were changing. I felt more purpose in helping than I did even as a world champ. It was beautiful seeing youths kind of their lives being transformed just by my life that I'd lived and being involved in theirs, right? So it was powerful. Then the phone rings, and I'm with my brethren, Laban Rooms, and he's already started his gold plating business, and he's asked me to kind of work with him and be a partner. So I'm thinking, yeah, my dream of being in that life is right here. So I'm doing with the youths, then I'm working with my guy, boom. Phone call, I'm gold plating these phones. They're getting £1,500 a pop, bruv. Man's gold plating 300 phones, work that shit out, yeah? So phone call, my daughter, Dad, Kyan's been stabbed, bawling down the phone, yeah? Bro, can't even kind of relay what that's like to hear that news come over and to go into your body, that words go in your head. But the process of this went like this. I dropped work, went over to my yard, which was just round the corner. Niece was looking after my last boy that I just had, Micaiah, and she was what, 17, 18 by then or something, yeah? 18. And went over, we jumped in the car. I know I can't keep Micaiah, he's got to go my mum's. And my mum just survived an operation of a blood clot to the brain, nearly died herself, okay? But I knew someone had to keep my boy. But at this time, she'd been all right. We dropped him, didn't tell my mum nothing because I can't mess with her brain because it's delicate, right? So, Mum, I'll be back in a minute. I'll see you soon. I ain't telling her nothing. I'm frightened to how she's going to deal with this because I know my mum. We go hospital. It's a mess. They come out, the brother tells me how he's opened my son's chest. He's massaged his heart. He's done everything he can to keep my boy alive. Bro. The reaction, bruv. The reaction, Steve, was mental. Anyone around in that hospital that day will remember the noise, will remember seeing a madman running around that hospital, licking up walls and jump kicking walls like I'm trying to brock something to get. I felt nothing. I'm telling you, I weren't going here to the wall, you know, bruv. I don't know how all my knuckles and my hands ain't broken. They x-rayed it because there was blood everywhere. on the floor. I didn't even notice, didn't even know. Just something switches. And you go through this journey now of the press, the police, you know, family support, all the stuff that goes with it is messy. Like, you're in a zone. I used to go around a table like this for hours, just quiet, shuffling. If you looked at me, oh, that guy's straight for the mental hospital, bruv. He's lost it. Shuffling. 3 hours later, scream, shuffle, shout, cry, shuffle. Just pure, you're gone. That was my experience anyway. I listened to Tracy scream, crying. You're just in this atmosphere of pain and grief. And bro,
Wow.
guess who I was chatting to, bro?
The devil, blood.
I was chatting to my father, bro.
Oh, I would have been chatting to the devil.
I was chatting to my father, bro.
Something.
Because at first it was all about, yo, find me his address.
What you gonna do?
Find me this guy's address, bro. That's all. His friends was
So who was
going
your father?
around.
Big man.
God is talking.
Oh, you was praying to God to give you the address?
Nah, I was talking to the boys, but I said the whole time I was doing all this madness, I was still connected. I knew something. Because I remember the screaming I used to hear, why Cayenne? And something just came over me. Why not? At the moment Cayenne was killed, around the world, other children were being killed. Other mothers and fathers were in pain. Why the hell would you think that you're not a part of this? How special do you think you are that it can't be one of my youths? Because trust me, bro, I changed my life around for my youths. Everyone in the ends, all my people know I'm about my youths. I love my youths, they'll be with me all the time. All the boxing man, them know, they've seen them at the gym with me. Wherever I go, my youths are hanging out with me. That's my little crew. Because for me, that's the one thing I've really done, is be able to see my little crew with me when we go out. The cars ramp. You know what I'm saying? I've got 6 youths. You know, Tanisa, Cayenne, Jodeci, Malik, Kishon, Micaiah, and I lost another stillborn youth as well. So I would have had 7 youths, right? And now one's gone, and they was my world. They was why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? Now I go through this stage of trying to find out what going on, innit? What's going on here? How do I move forward from here? Because I know it's not over. It feels like it's over. It feels like it's over.
Another process.
But it can't be over. It can't be.
It's a whole new journey.
So what do you do again? You start fixing belief systems in your mind. You start changing what this means. Because look, let me tell you something. We're all gonna suffer death. But it's not the death, it's how we process the death. That's why not everyone processes death the same. How was I and how was Tracy gonna process the death of someone that meant everything to us?
Tracy's your wife?
Tracy's my
His
baby
mother's
mother,
mum.
my first baby mother.
Okay.
Yeah?
Mother of
For
your
my
child.
the first 2 children. Tanisa and Cayenne, Tracy Cumberbatch. The children's mum, right?
Right.
Kim, second mother of my children, for Jodeci and Malik.
Right.
Then I got married to Laurel and had Kishon and Micaiah. Okay, my youngest is 19 and then my oldest is 36.
Wow.
Then, so what I've got now is this situation where I'm talking to God in front of people, listening, because I used to come out the house. I used to try and find somewhere to be alone.
Isolation.
Just be in my own
find that
space. I
place,
couldn't. It's not all the time you can handle visitors every day. Visitors. I
Noise,
go and find
whatever.
the space, and where was that space? In my car. But next minute you'd know, man come out to the car.
Yeah, tap.
But I'm in my own world. So it was all right. I heard the door open, shut. I'm in my own world. But then something would come over me, and I'd start speaking. And then everyone would be listening in the car. Then I heard a voice say, wow. we come here to see how you are. And you're inspiring us.
Making
This
them
is
feel
mad,
better.
Prince.
Yeah.
Because all I'm talking about is what God's going to do through this. There's a prayer that I prayed when I picked Tanisa up, and it's mental. I got in my car, sat down, and I said out loud, Father, I beg you don't let my youth die. Listen to the next part. I couldn't say it loud. My daughter was in the back. But if you do, help me to accept it.
Wow.
Here's the problem with us human beings. We don't want to accept it. We struggle with accepting.
That word is very
That
important.
prayer that I had drew a mark in the sand and let the enemy know, my brother, you ain't got this guy. You sent the enemy to finish me like you sent him to finish Job when you wiped out all of Job's kids, all of Job's money, all of Job's investments, and then you took his health. You thought he was done out here. But Job drew a line in the sand when he said the Lord gives
And the
Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Now, poor Job, that was his limited relationship mindset, thinking that God done all of this, not recognizing the enemy done this. God just stood back and said, I got you. Let him do what he's
Whatever
doing. I'm
he's
going to
doing,
show the
yes.
world through you that whatever the
power.
enemy comes to you
Yes,
with,
man.
I still got you. That ain't the end of the story. So I held on to that. I remember Job. I've been reading Bible stories from Wade. So all these things kick in now. And that's why these youths are missing out. When our generation decided, I ain't taking my youth to church, my parents forced me to go, I ain't
100.
forcing them. What we
100.
done,
We broke that
we
link.
robbed them of the principles, not the religion.
Secrets to
The
success.
principles
Secrets
that's
to
in the
success,
Bible.
yes.
That's why I wanted to correct my man when he was talking about the Bible, because the Bible is the book. As a Man Thinketh is a bestseller. Where did he get that from? The Bible. He created a book that sold millions. And he came out of one line from the Bible. One line. And what is the best-selling book right now? The Holy Bible. Still, after all these years, that's the book. You want to teach your youth everything about life? You want to teach them principles, success, business, leadership, the market? Bruv, everything.
There's every scenario, every
Everything is
story,
in there.
everything's there.
Well, you think Joseph went to uni?
Yeah.
You think Joseph went to uni? Joseph learned off his dad. He served the same God his dad served. He was taking in the Torah messages that were broken down from what
That's
Moses was
powerful.
breaking down.
That's powerful.
This is just generation stuff here. So what I'm saying is God's word's enough because it's the manual for human beings. If you have a product and you stick to the manual, whatever happens, you're safe. If it goes
Stick by
all
the
wrong, I'll
rules.
take it back to the
That's right.
manufacturer.
That's right.
He'll sort this out for me, get it back to default mode and sort it out. If I mash this up and mess it up,
I'm gonna, you know what? Because therapeutically, I keep my eye on the time.
Yeah.
So like, you know, we count down.
Sorry,
like,
guys,
we do
I
the
just-
out.
No,
no,
you
no,
don't.
no, 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 no,
Wait,
no,
wait,
no,
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 listen,
brother.
listen.
What I was
Listen,
gonna
there's
say,
got to be a
what I
part
was gonna
two.
say,
We
what I
have
was gonna
to-
say,
he's got to
what I
come
was
back
gonna
next
say,
week 'cause
what I
there's a
was gonna
part two to
say-
that.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say is that your story is transformational, and it's. I don't think we're giving it enough. I need time to process because all of us have a narrative about our journeys. But how you've weaved it together in terms of the boxing, I thought I made it. And I'm cracking on with life. I'm doing this thing. I'm selling phones. I'm getting 1,500 quid a phone. I'm doing 300. I'm earning. I'm doing good dough. And then something happens and my life is just turned ridiculously around. And in that process, I've got to connect. And what you said about that acceptance, that
word,
humble word of
That was-
muttering
that
that,
was- that was
in
huge.
yourself, and the purpose that gave you. Because we haven't even talked about the legacy that your boys.
That he
We haven't
created.
even, and I don't
That's
think
why
it's
I'm saying he's
fair
gonna come back
for the
next
for the
week.
listeners. I don't think it's fair for the people out there
If they don't hear it,
to
right?
don't get the fullness of this narrative, because
I swear to God.
it's a process.
He's gonna come
that
back
you had
next
to go
week
through,
because there's a
and what
part
you've
2 to
done,
that story. You know,
what you've done is you've almost turned that. You've turned that
not
pain
almost. He totally
into
did.
purpose, and not only that,
He totally did.
when you came and you introduced yourself and you said, "I am a doctorate, I'm this, that." It's also about the self-discovery that this purpose has given you. You've just become now, therapeutically we say, self-actualization. When you just become and keep becoming the best version of yourself. It doesn't stop until you kick the bucket.
Yeah.
We are constantly learning. If I go into any space where I'm doing work and there's anyone in the room that says, I know all of this stuff, I say, son, big man, whatever professional, we continuously learn. That's why it's called professional
Every day's a
development.
school day.
So now, I don't feel we've done your narrative justice, because I could sit down here and listen and be curious about how did you get that inspiration from the
Sorry
big
to
man?
cut
How
you.
did you?
I'm inspired.
Yeah,
Because
so-
to go through that depth of grief and come out like this.
Yeah, it's a different level. So I don't know
Different
what your
level.
plans are. I know you're probably a very busy man.
Yeah.
But I would say to
Milo knows. We got a
You've
bond
got to
from
come back. You've got to come back.
bond
We've
from
got to
back in the
continue
day
this.
as youths, and we were both disenfranchised. We were both just on a pathway where we just thought it was about us and our ego, and do you know what I'm saying? And showing that you're the man and all of them. Remember them ages, bro, in Tottenham.
Yeah.
Come on.
And you know the
saying?
wickedest thing? When you said you're born 69, you're 50, and I'm saying I'm born 69. So like we've had the same tear up. We just know this thing, and our journeys that we've gone through, like Tottenham, Harsden, Brixton, like growing up Peckham,
Hackney.
Yeah.
and them places there, like in those days, even though we was geographically separate, we all
Just living
faced
the same journey,
Same,
of
always the same.
course, right around.
Bruv, Milo might remember, like, I'm known a lot, even man still stop me now from wiling up this guy named Lloyd, this big man to us in the college.
Lloyd that passed at Tottenham College.
Boom.
Lloyd that died in Stamford Hill.
Yes.
I remember.
The one that got shot or...
No, he got stabbed or something.
I
So he
swear
was
he
like
got
a little.
shot.
He was a bully, innit?
He was a
He
proper
was like
bully.
a bully. Look, tall
Big
guy.
guy, tall guy,
Tottenham Tech,
bullyish.
where was all that Tottenham Tech?
100% bully. So for me at 18, 19, to take on this 20-year-old
But he was well older
brother,
than us. He was well older than us. Well older than us.
Big man to me. And the way he got violated. Like I had, one time I was driving at a junction and a man was going the opposite way and stopped. Said, Prince, bro, we saying ain't seen it from college days. And the first thing he said,
Well, you beat
brother, bro, the way you violated that guy. But guess what it was out of?
Love,
It was
protection.
out of fear.
It was out of fear.
Because he was a bully.
And
He was a bully.
You know
Lloyd.
something I'm going to say here, because part of I'm not watching the time, but therapeutically, I would always have a clock. And 5 minutes before I start bringing stuff together.
Yeah,
You know
we've got
what I will
another
say?
5 minutes to wrap
What
up,
I will say is
summarize.
this: purpose in men, and you're going to come back. We're going to give you Milo can have this discussion.
Yeah.
And there's one thing that I say: it's good to be in tune with your emotions, but the purpose of a man is not to make permanent
act on your
decisions
emotions.
on temporary emotions.
100%.
So feel your emotions,
100%.
understand what they are, and then think about the logic of your decisions that you're making. And with that guidance that you said, because that book there, the proper book,
Yeah.
what yes, it's you know that you said what trick. Like growing up, I remember like 6 weeks holiday going down to my auntie's house in White City, and the Jehovah Witness and she used to put us in the little suits and all that. I hated it because I'm thinking, why are you sending me there for like? But then the book was part of that process, so the book was always resonating, and you know you can't not.
We
the
all
book-
hate.
It's in our home.
We all hated it so much. None of us took our kids to.
What
to
was
church.
our parents doing on
You know
the
it.
6 weeks holidays?
None of us liked church.
Working.
What did you have to do? I had to wipe down all the skirting boards, bruv. Clean the house.
6 weeks
A
holiday.
springtime cleanup.
You're lucky. Every Saturday morning by 6 weeks
understand?
holiday.
You had to do it on a Saturday.
Skirting board,
Springtime
wash down the
cleaning.
window with newspaper, wipe down the...
Let me remind Mark Prince of one of his fights that stands out for me over the years. Let me see if you remember this. Yeah, go to wrap up on that. Do you remember the fight that you had that both of you knocked each other out? Both of you punched each other at the same time. It was like a double knockdown.
I think
you
you're
got
right.
up.
I think you're talking about Michael Gale.
It might have been both
Is he
of
a
you.
white
They're
guy?
both either white or mixed race or
Because
something like that.
we didn't both drop. He dropped me, I got up, and then I dropped him. I've never dropped the same time as a guy.
Right. So it was
that's
something
it.
like
Yeah, because remember it's a memory one, innit?
Yeah,
Sometimes
yeah,
it's a bit shady.
yeah. But it was so close to knockdown. Yeah. He's recovering, from the knockdown, if that's how it went.
Yeah.
He's recovering, and you just get Mark, go hold it together. Boom, the guy's down, the other guy's down. Both of them.
That is
He's
the
still
one.
wobbly.
That is the
Yeah,
one.
remember, they're counting, but for my man, my man's on the floor, they're counting for him. His legs are wobbly, same way, he's
That's
still
belief
wobbly.
again.
Yeah.
That's
Do you
what I
understand?
believed.
Man.
I believed no one could stop me in this fight. It wasn't my time to lose. So I just had to keep getting up.
You ended up winning. You ended up winning.
I just had to get up.
Listen,
you know what?
Strong
Mark,
team.
I just want to thank you.
Yes.
Every time your story is like revelation after it. Every time I hear it, I learn something. I just been sighing and sighing and sighing because your ability to forgive, I can't understand it. You understand what I'm trying to say to you?
Yeah.
We haven't even talked about the love, the power of the love that you've exuded
He's gotta come
for
back
so
next
many
week.
thousands, tens of thousands of people across the world. And we need to talk about that.
100.
Bro, I'm telling you, this is part of healing, yeah?
This is special what
knowing
you
yourself
got.
last week, we talked about identity, purpose this week.
Yeah.
We need to talk about forgiveness and love, at some point. And we need to talk
100.
about legacy estate planning.
Yeah.
Because we're not here forever.
Yeah.
We've got a season on this earth, 70 for the average man. Some people live more or less. But what do we do in this time and what are we leaving for the next generation? Not just economically, but in terms of our our history, in terms of our traditions.
It
And our,
starts at home, Milo.
you understand?
We as dads, we as fathers,
Yes.
we as the men of society have to start creating this wealth for our children. We have to insure up the place. Health insurance, house insurance, life insurance. So what you're leaving, you're not leaving broke problems and debts and money that people don't have and your missus ain't got. You're leaving wealth.
Yep.
Man's got half a mil. Do you know what I'm saying? Boom, you're in your past and they can build on that. You could put something in your will. You got to do this business or start a business, have the money there, build on it. Put your family into business.
I've done my will just this year.
Boom, we don't think like
I've done
that.
my will this year.
We
bro.
don't think
this
like
year.
that.
I've done my will.
Funeral
This year.
plans,
The
everything.
reason why I said purpose is the most important conversation you will ever have in life. We could talk about politics, talk about social justice, talk about education.
Yeah.
But the reason why purpose is because if you waste your time and did not discover your purpose, you will live such an unhappy life. You understand? And your life won't mean nothing. Nobody won't remember you. You understand what I'm trying to say to you? Your life is supposed to be...
Don't matter how much money you made.
No.
Yeah.
You'll still be forgotten.
We're making money that we have no purpose using. You know what I'm saying? Some man's got money, but they ain't got no purpose. Money with no sense. Some money in relationships they haven't got no business being in. Some man are in jobs that they ain't got no business, just wasting their time. You understand?
Milo, the key is
Some
this.
man going on holiday, they don't know why they're going on the holiday. When they're there, they need another holiday to make up from the holiday. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Listen, here's the key. Here's the key.
Yeah?
The key is this.
Right.
If you understand that you have a manufacturer that created and made you, you can go to him and talk to him about the stuff that baffles you.
So,
I talked to God about my purpose.
Right.
I said to him, why you made me? I could have been anyone. I could have been in any sperm balls bag, but I was this. And that's how my brain worked when I was a youth. Why am I this guy that I am? Why have I come out with these two parents? What's my purpose? But I didn't know he got onto the job once I said, I want to know. Show me.
This is why these kind of discussions is so
Beautiful.
important.
Wonderful.
Because there is so much lost men out there walking around, as we've been saying, without purpose.
They're clones.
And when they can watch in clones, however you want to articulate them, but when they watch shows like these and hear your story and where you're coming from, the rest of us and everything else, it inspires them to find their purpose. Because what the sad thing in life is, a lot of men die without fulfilling their purpose.
Can I show you something really
sad thing.
special?
Yeah.
I went into a high security prison, Whitemore, lifers, man with fat birds in there. Bro, don't matter where they was from, what walk of life, when the Most High put me in front of them and I started to break things down, bro, I had a circle of man around like this.
Locked in.
And this is when it was finished. He said, listen to me.
Locked in.
Bro, you don't know what you've done here today. We're willing to support and help you in any way you need. These men are incarcerated.
But you've
But
discovered
they're
a
big
purpose.
G's and big boys in there.
Yeah,
And they've, trust me, bro, they still got clout on
Yes.
the road.
Yeah, 100%.
They still got,
Reignited
they
their
still got
purpose
youngers
again.
out there on the
Yes,
road.
yes.
So I said there's a place for you in my organization. Why? God never built this about me. This is
Never
his
is.
purpose, not mine. I'm just playing a role. It gives my life purpose to be along with God's plan.
Right.
And all of us are in God's plan, but it's whether we want to be a part of the
yeah.
plan
That's right.
or we just want to ride in the
Real
fat
tick,
cars,
real tick.
be on the yachts,
Be on the
look
peripheral.
flossy.
That's right.
That's not what I'm about. I
Saying
want
the right
real
things.
purpose.
All right, listen.
That's a
Talk
great
about
way
but
to
not
drop that
walk.
last one.
Yeah.
We're
We're gonna end.
We've been
numbers.
leaving people with an expectation for more, and I think this is a perfect time to kind of wrap
Look,
up.
ask the public. Ask them if they want another one.
No, you gotta come back. You gotta come back. There's a
Listen,
part,
There's a
Bro,
part
I
2
know-
and 3.
I know
There's a
for a
part
fact.
2 and 3 to his story. He's got to
People
come back.
gonna definitely need.
Come on.
Whether they want it, they need to hear it.
Because I want to
Understand?
share with them about the campaign we're doing now and all
Bro,
of that.
100%.
all of
That's got to come.
We want to be.
Are
able
you-
to-
are you-
I
are you
wanna
back before
donate
Wednesday?
something to your,
Yeah,
to your
please.
Milo, are you
foundation,
back
yeah.
before Wednesday? Are you back
Yeah,
before?
man,
you
I'm
back from
before
Ghana?
Wednesday.
All
I'm
right.
That's what
going
we need.
Ghana.
Yeah.
I'm going Ghana for my birthday
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I'm back next week, Wednesday, and we're going to have the full team. Spencer will be here.
Beautiful.
You will be
Cool.
here.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? Mark will be
Yeah.
here. Anthony will be here. Scotty
Nice.
will be here. The therapist, the resident therapist. But let's just wrap up with
Yeah.
one.
What's that guy's name? Dr. Phil. You know Dr. Phil from Oprah?
Yeah. But let's just wrap up.
Right,
Marky
exactly,
Mark.
right.
Marky Mark. Let's just wrap up and start with you, and then we're going to go around summarizing purpose for you and what does that mean for you moving forward.
Purpose to me is an individual thing. But I always say, if you don't know yourself in life, you'll never discover your purpose. So whether it's like what happened to Mark, a tragic incident, or even like Spencer picking up the standard and finding a job, those things there started your journey of your true purpose. So if you don't know yourself, you're never going to achieve your purpose anyway. So I think the first thing, us as men, you need to get into yourself. Know thyself.
Beautiful.
Me personally, and I was 1,000 miles away when your son died, yeah? But I was married to China, Antoinette Parkinson's little sister.
Okay.
Who was quite close to you. So we heard literally in minutes, even though we was in Barcelona. And I can tell you today, right now, obviously I knew you from college and them back then and whatnot. The feeling I felt when I heard his son had passed, yeah? And every time I saw him on interviews and stuff like that, made me feel scared to be experiencing what he was going through. And at the same time, impressed at the way he was dealing with it from what we could see from the outside. Do you understand? And I never lost that feeling because I saw when you got your doctorate, I saw that too. That feeling came straight back that I had in Barcelona when I first heard. So
I
sitting
was
next
there
to
when
it,
you got your doctor. You're Bishop Malcolm.
Oh, rotted.
I was there. I was there. You and Bishop Malcolm got the same time, innit?
Wow. Do you know what? I can't even remember it too tough, yeah?
But you remember you
I
and Bishop
my-
Malcolm
I remember
got
I
it the
brought
same
my
time.
mum. I remember
Yeah.
I brought my mum down. I'm not sure if that was the same time. Was Bishop Malcolm there?
Bishop Malcolm got his doctor at the same time you got yours.
Really?
Yes, my brother.
So how come I didn't get to meet him then?
Yeah,
I didn't know
I
him
brought
then.
him there.
I met
You
him.
didn't know him then. You knew him after. I know you didn't know him then.
Wow.
I brought him there.
Right, so just to round up my bit,
Yeah.
sitting next to you,
Yeah.
Works, man.
and hearing that story for the
Yeah.
first time,
Okay.
since that's happened, gave me goosebumps today. And I want to thank you for sharing your
Yes,
story.
sir. Thank you.
Really, seriously, sharing your story because
big.
I've got a few people I communicate with. I'm gonna call her name because she's known, Vanessa Hyman.
Yeah.
She lost her son in the same way,
Yeah,
and I communicate with her quite a bit. She's a very good
time
friend,
spent, but yeah,
right?
we're gonna
And
get
they would love to hear. They would love this show and how what you've expressed. So
Yeah.
it'll be great to
Get
obviously have
Bring
it
it
back
back.
for
Yes, sir.
part 2 and part 3 and part 4s and
Very quickly, have you written a book
Yeah.
in regards to that experience?
I've written a book just to break the ice, The Prince of Peace.
Yeah. Bring it. Bring it next
I'll
time.
bring mine as well. I'll bring my book as well. I'll bring mine next week.
100%.
Let's bring it.
You know what I mean?
I'm planning on doing another book now because
Yeah.
I just want to develop leaders, and that's my legacy that I believe in. Loads of young people that have gone through the process of understanding their purpose, and my part to end in this is the power of choice. We have such a loving father that could have been a military dad like our dads. And he didn't. He made us out of love and he left us with choice and said, you can decide not to serve me. I've given you all these powers. They're God-like powers. You can have an idea in your brain that you cannot touch, and you could materialize that and turn that into something that you can grab a hold of, and your gifts will make way for you. So it will create revenue and give you purpose and everything.
Back to
God
it again.
gave us this.
Yes, man.
How awesome is that? So my thing is this, to leave the power of choice. We serve a God that's given us the choice to walk on our journey of purpose with him or without him.
Thank
But
you.
we always have
My
that choice.
testimony is that
Thank you.
I'm a living witness
Respect, my
what it
brother.
looks like
Love that.
when you take it with him.
Love that. Love that.
Thank you, Mark. Scotty.
Yeah, it's always food for thought. I mean, yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for sharing, because it's working in a hospital and being on the phone call side and doing that, planning with the family and like serious youth violence is something that I'm passionate about because serious youth violence to me represents a generation of just lost young men, just completely lost, where masculinity has almost been turned upside down. The real qualities of a man, they've just lost them. They don't know. And I suppose just hearing your story, being here with you guys, and just sharing, just sharing knowledge, us showing people it's all right for men to do thinking together. It's not threatening. It's not aggression. It's not dominance. It's not ego. It's men empowering men by using thinking, not prehistoric part of the brain, flight or flight, where I'm triggered by something you say, I become defensive, the wounded child, next thing you know, I'm in here throwing things around. No, we can challenge respectfully. And I think that's what your story has shown. We can do some thinking together on a deeper level and understand ourselves.
Thank you, Scotty. Beautiful. Listen, we're going to wrap up. We did go over time, but we did start late, so apologies to the listeners. But I want to thank you, Mark.
Yeah, 100.
It's been special, and we definitely would love for you to come back.
Yeah.
I definitely would like to, from Legacy Foundation, make a donation to Kieran Foundation.
Do you know what? We're just looking for £10 a month. We need regular donors.
Come on, bro.
Yeah,
That's what we
We're
need.
going to have all your information up next
Regular
week. Listen,
donors, I'll
we're
send
going
it
to
to
get
you.
all of
Can
that.
get that.
We're going to get all of
£10
that.
a month, bro.
Trust
Imagine
me.
if 2,000, how much lives could we
Come
change?
on, every weekend I'm
How
buying
much youths could
champagne
we
and
help? Bruv, come on, man.
Listen,
Buy
£150
yourself a
bottle.
just
Changing
leave
that
the
mindset.
Buy your champagne, but
That-
leave the
listen,
tenner
that-
in.
that-
Just
listen,
KPF.
Let's just wrap it.
That's what I was asking
Let's just
for.
wrap this up officially, yeah?
And then we can carry on behind.
We have to shoot off, and I got to go to Ghana tomorrow. I got to go to Ghana, man.
Play me out. Man, play them yard.
Right, so listen, I got a place to catch up.
Yeah, like, come on to
the
people and
words
us.
of our mouth from the
Yes.
meditation of our be
Come on.
acceptable in thy sight,
Yes,
oh God,
Father.
our strength and our redeemer.
Yes, my God.
And Mark, no weapon formed against you will
100.
prosper, and every tongue that
Never
rise up
will.
in judgment against
Yes.
you, thou, O God, shall
Every time.
condemn.
Come
Yeah?
on, come on.
I reverse the earth and run over them.
Mm-hmm.
In Jesus' name.
Amen. Boom, bam. boom, done.
Like, there you do it in a Jesus name.
Listen, time to
That's in our
sign
mind
off.
on
Time to
you.
sign off.
All right, sign off. Family
Yeah?
next week.
Next week, everybody.
Blessings.
Thank you. for
Thank
tuning
you
in.
guys. I've been.
Oh, we never
absolutely
read out the
privileged.
messages. We missed out the messages.
Oh, you know what?
The messages
We'll
next
never
time.
get a chance to do them, mate. And I was going to add a conscious
Guys, if we
point
could
to
get
say,
even 10 minutes before, bro, at least we could start
Yeah,
on
we can
time.
do a
you
little
get me?
thing. Yeah.
not 10 minutes,